Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Polyhedron Collidecast, episode 148, the Great UK Games Expo preview. I'm Steve Tudor.
I'm Andy Lewis.
I'm Sid Gill.
I'm Rory Summers, and Sid's still got a mouthful of biscuit.
I thought I'd got away with that.
No. I had a segue ready and everything, but then, it's straight in. I was like, so, here we go.
Thanks for calling a man professionalism again.
So I'm not gonna, because here I've got my left hand with donuts that I'm gonna be scoffing.
You bastard!
What flavour, mate?
Custard.
Oh,
Nice.
Here was me hoping to get through the Expo podcast, right an F-bomb, and we're not even like 2 minutes in.
1
Your
minute
fault,
into
Rory.
it.
My fault showing off my custard donuts.
Is that a euphemism? Actually, don't answer that. Don't. No, let's move on.
Let's move on quickly.
Having just heard about where you keep your porn stash, I don't think we heard about your custard donuts.
I don't know what you're talking about, Andy. I really don't.
Well, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to Polyhedron Collider. We're sometimes board game podcast, other times just four blokes talking nonsense. But today we have an information-packed episode because UK Games Expo is coming up very soon, Friday 31st of May till the 2nd of June at the Birmingham NEC, Birmingham National Exhibition Centre, which is not far away from us, and it's not far away in time, so we're getting very excited. We have put together, Rory has put together a list of all the new and exciting games coming out, and then has been really wound up when both me and Andy find games he didn't know about.
Yes. Doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen often.
No, it's happened twice in the last hour.
In the last hour. Bearing in mind you've been making this list for 4 weeks, 5 weeks?
I started this list, if you look at the geek list on Board Game Geek.
Which, by the way, I will link to in the show notes. So if you want to go through and see it, it's in the show notes.
I started this, where is it? On the 14th of January.
Wow.
14th of January?
Jesus, man.
That's when I started
this
this
is
list.
why Steve and I are the senior members of this podcast, because we can wheedle shit out with our experience.
I'll just hide in the thermal noise of doing and Rory's kind of shadow.
That's it.
I'm happy being there.
The Office Junior takes some of the credit and just hoovers up some of the wastrels that we leave behind.
No, but in fairness, when we were doing the most anticipated games of the year, there were a couple of games that we talked about then that were going to be released at Expo. So I thought I'm going to just start my list now.
That's sensible.
So I did.
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Bet you always got your homework in on timed as well, didn't you?
Do you know what? No, I was rubbish at school. Did you know this? I'm a high school dropout, Sid.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, I dropped out of school. I dropped out of school when I was 16. I then went to art college, right? And then I dropped out of that too.
Is your name Dave Lister?
I had a real turnaround in my 30s. So
Wow. See, I think I went the other way. I was a proper nerd. I did all right. And then, I went to university and spent half my life there. And now I just can't be arsed. I've gone the other way.
right, anyway, we've got sidetracked massively.
Yeah, we got massively sidetracked. And by the way, if you want to see these sidetracks live and in person, we will be doing a live podcast at the Expo, which will be on the Sunday morning. So that's Sunday, 2nd of June at 11 a.m. in the Piazza Suite, I believe.
Piazza 4, the dice room.
Yep, Piazza 4, the dice room. There we go. Again, there'll be a link in the show notes below. Trouble check it out. I don't think you need to book tickets. It didn't last year. And hopefully we'll get the sound to work this time.
But if not, Paul, if you could be there again, that'd be super.
Yes.
That was really handy, yes.
It was really good. After the lady set it all up, turned it all off and promptly left the room and we were like, oh, well, never mind.
Expo. Lots of people there. And I should probably... now, I've just realised a nice little smooth segue here. Is our sponsor going to be there, Rory?
That's clamped him, hasn't it? So 3 times in an hour.
No, unfortunately, Steve. But you can still, of course, spend your hard-earned cash on payday, which is just before the expo, which is convenient. And you can go to polyhedroncollider.com to grab the QR code.
And again, link will be in the show notes.
It will
get you a nice juicy discount, especially if you're not going to be at Expo, so you won't be able, you feel missed out. You'll feel like you haven't bought those hauls you see on the internet, like the following day. So if you go there and use our code, that's a perfect place to get a haul because you get 5% off everything?
5% off everything you buy.
Yeah, there we go.
So it's just Kienda / Polyhedron Collider, actually, if you want to do that.
There we go.
Done.
Now, there are some other notable absentees. The big one for me is that Games Workshop won't be there this year.
I was stunned when I saw that. I was like, what, really? Because they've been there the last 3 at least.
Yeah, and the last few times they've had a major stand right at the entrance. Yep. So the first thing you see when you walk in is Games Workshop and Warhammer. And last year they had the full-size, life-size Terminator.
I remember.
Very impressive.
Which somebody doctored.
Just had a picture of you in a flat cap.
Was it? Yes. A Northern Terminator.
Now, my gut feeling is that this is because they've announced a new version of Age of Sigmar, but it's not out yet. So what happened last year was they announced the new Warhammer 40,000 version. They showed it off at their own convention, and then Expo was 2 weeks later. So they'd already shown it off big at their own convention, and then this, the Expo was the secondary one. I have a funny feeling it's because they haven't shown it off properly to people yet, and they didn't want to do that at Expo, or it didn't time with the release date. I think it's one of those little marketing things that doesn't fit. But there's a few other big names not there this year, which are usually present. Queen Games are not going to be there.
I was quite gutted about that. I was hoping to pick up some of my Stefan Feld back catalogue.
Oh, what a shame, eh? Never
because
mind.
that way I don't have to pay for all the stupid shipping because it's stupid shipping. But yeah, so I'm gutted they're not there.
Harbour Games are not going to be there.
Yeah,
are they usually there?
Yeah,
Harbour,
they sponsor the kids. They normally sponsor the kids' family area.
Yeah,
they did. You're right in the corner. Yes.
Huh. Well,
yes, the sponsored crash.
Yeah, Hall 2, it's normally a really big stand.
Yeah, you're right.
It's normally really busy.
Yeah. Now, allegedly, Harbour are not doing very well financially, which could be why they can't afford to come over here because they're German-based, aren't they, Harbour?
They are.
The other weird name which is missing as well is Big Potato. They're not usually a big stand, but Big Potato make a big point.
Say they turn up with a big yellow van full of potatoes.
You say that, but the last year they actually had a really large area and they had it all astroturfed, and it was almost like it was a mix between a playground and a beer garden. And they had the big dome tents and they could they sell stuff, and they had loads of space for demoing. It was a really good place if you just needed to just take a break from walking around. They had the beer garden benches that you could just go sit at, and someone would come over with a Big Potato game that was normally quite light and fun, and you could just chill out for 10 minutes and play one of their games. But yeah, they're not there again. They're not there this year, which I think is a bit of a surprise.
It is, because they are, especially as you say, Rod. I mean, they're pretty famous for sort of light, almost party games. It's not usually our kind of stuff, but they are very popular. Usually they're very big stands, very bright, very fluffy, very friendly people, lovely people to talk to. But yeah, usually a stalwart of the expo.
Yeah, so 4 big names that are not there this year. But it's interesting. But it's still set to be the biggest expo to date. I would be very surprised if the numbers this year, attendance numbers, aren't quite substantially higher than they were last year.
Yeah. Well, we know, me and Sid know about 6 people that we would never have expected to come to Expo are coming on force on Sunday.
Really?
Full families, the kids and everything. So yeah, they're really...
Wow. They're making a big day out of it, really.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of people there we know are coming that we know haven't been before. Yeah. So it's going to be pretty new and exciting to them.
We've got the same in Bewdley as well. A bunch of our gaming group here have never been before. Some of them are brand new to gaming, or at least they usually play sort of light, friendly games. We should go to Expo. Yes, you should definitely go to Expo. What's it like? Should we go on the Saturday? No. No. Go on the Friday.
See, bizarrely, I remember, this is actually good, I'm kind of almost showing my age, some of the earlier expos, like when it first started NEC, when it jumped between the Hill Metropole and NEC, there was that many tournaments that there was a drop at about 11 o'clock when the tournament started. So it was really busy for the first couple of hours while all the people who were going to the tournaments went round the stands and tried to buy as much as they could. And then all of a sudden the tournament started and they all poodled off and it died down a bit. But now... the tournaments, although still huge, there's entire rooms full of freaking tournaments going on. The actual rest of the expo has grown with it as well. So,
totally.
Keeps
but
on
it's
being
good.
busy.
They lock the neckbeards away in their own little room, don't they? For the tournaments. It's quite good.
Right then, we have lots of games to talk about. We're going to make some recommendations. I'm not going to say how many it is because this is going to be a bit chaotic. Because how many is on your long list, Rory?
There's 30 on my list. I haven't updated it for the 2 that you guys added and the 1 I spotted about half an hour before we started recording.
So that shows you. I mean, usually we scrabble around for games at these things. It seems that everyone's making a big deal out of Expo this year, and there's lots of really exciting stuff that's been new to play, and some of it being new to buy, or people that are just new to Expo. So I'll put a link to Rory's geek list in the show notes as well, so if you want to see the full list. And somebody in the questions we'll get to later may have suggested that stand numbers go on that geek list, to which Rory, I think, was ready to murder people. He's now giving me the evils over the video.
That information wasn't there in January when I started, right? If everybody else could just be as organised as me, right, be sorted. But no, stand numbers came out last week.
It's almost like, it's a fluid situation when people are still committing. But anyway, one thing I have noticed actually about this year, and it's something we've commented on in the past, in that some years there seems to be a kind of a massive abundance or a total absence of a particular type of game. I remember a few years ago, we did comment that there seemed to be a huge number of kind of light card games. And we were, and there were conversely, a massive absence of the big hefty Euros that I quite like. Consequently, I was slightly uninterested in a lot of it. But I think this year, there's quite a nice balance. From what I've seen, it seems there's a bit of everything for everyone.
And I must say as well, we have chosen this list based on what makes us interested. So there's very few of that light card game you've mentioned in this list. And we've still managed to get 30-odd games on here.
Yes.
So it shows just, what's available.
Having said that, though, I have noticed a bit of a pattern. There seems to be quite a few games that are space or moon related and have a circular board. I can think of 3 off the top of my head. So
right, okay. Maybe that's like spotters for Instagram on that weekend, the circular board post.
The circular board post.
Right, I'll kick things off then. And I'm going to talk about what would probably be the most obvious game for everyone here, which is Avalon, the Riven Veil, which is the second game from Shadowborn Games, who are the guys who made Oathsworn. Now, Oathsworn has a very special UK Games Expo thing to it because we knew very little about that game before Expo, and we got to their stand at the press preview, and I went bonkers. I saw those miniatures, and quite frankly, they had to wipe the drool off those miniatures, and my greasy paws, they had to prise my hands off them.
I can vouch for all of that. I was stood next to him at the time.
And then me and Rory, no, it wasn't me and Rory, me and John played a demo of it during the day as well, and absolutely loved it. And both me and John backed that game to everything. It's one of the few games I've gone Andy-style balls deep on. Now, this is their second game, and it's very different in quite a few ways, but also some similarities. Number one, similarities, it is heavily miniatures based. So it's going to have a lot of miniatures. But what this is a area control game set in the Arthurian legends. Ooh. Which bizarrely, when they announced this, was the exact time that Simon announced their Arthurian Legends area control game, which was a weird little thing that happened at the same time. Now, there are some little, what's the word I'm looking for, interests about this, which have got me even more interested. And it's not just area control, because it's also an exploration game, because you're exploring the Isle of Avalon. So exploring mists and discovering items, magic items, powerful beasts, trying to find the Grail. So it sounds like there's a questing element as well as a normal do to the map area control game.
So it's a kind of a cross between Fall of Avalon in the exploration sense and, I don't know, something that Simon would probably do.
Yeah. It feels like it could be that. Now, the interesting thing, there has been no gameplay demos. I do believe Expo is the first time anyone's going to see this.
Ooh, do we need to take a bucket and a sponge just ahead of time for you?
Yes, I think we need a bib for me, basically, or someone with a mop and one of those signs saying... Those yellow signs behind me to
caution wet floor.
We'll be following you like curling stones.
Nice.
So yes, Jamie, designer of Oathsworn, is also top bloke. He has a really good stand. So he's actually got 2 stands next to each other, which makes me think it's going to be 1 stand for Oathsworn and 1 stand for Avalon.
Sounds about right.
So yeah, I mean, he teased this to us this time last year at the Expo, actually, a little bit. So yeah, interestingly, I've got some demos booked in, and this is my first demo of the entire Expo.
Shock.
Nice. I've thought of, you've just reminded me of a question we were asked many, many months ago now, probably towards the end of last year, actually, in our sort of end of year thing. What do you think is going to be the next big thing, TM, in terms of either theme or game style or whatever? I reckon it's going to be Avalon.
Avalon, yeah.
4 of the bloody things this year. I mean, I know I'm 6 months later after the fact now, but, benefit of hindsight and all that. But they do seem to be popular, obviously, because Tainted Grail kicked it all off. You've got this, you've got Simon's game, you've got, there's another one I've seen, and I can't remember what it's called. There's a bunch of them coming out in the next sort of year or two. So I think, people have jumped on that bandwagon now.
Well, they're re-releasing Pendragon's new version as well. So one of the big RPGs that's coming out this year.
That's the one. So there you go. That does look. I'm going to probably be in tow, actually, Steve, slipping and sliding on your drool trail. But I'm interested because I do feel like I've missed out with Into the Deep Wood, because you and I played and I did enjoy it, even though I did think Brian Cox that did the not Brian Cox.
Oh no,
James not James Corden. Christ Almighty, no.
James Corden.
Yeah, him. The Scottish chap that was in Game of Thrones. Yeah, him, because he did the voiceover for the app. And I do feel he phoned it in a bit, it sounded like. But I did enjoy it. It was very, very good. Is that the only time you've played it?
Yes. Well, we are going to play it again this year because it's now made it into the top 100 as well. So it is on the BGG top 100 list. So we will be playing that as part of our top 100 challenge.
Nice. Well, from things with swords and Avalons to a game what has neither of those things, but it does have Rondell, nice bloke. This is Ada's Dream from Alley Cat Games. Now, we do like Alley Cat most of the time. I think Cesar's a friend of the show. We do get on well. We do like generally Alley Cat's games because we really love things like Dice Hospital. Aurora and I have quite like Autobahn, despite the administration load. Yeah. We're big fans of Alley Cat, so we was going to say hello. But this is the start, apparently, of a Great Thinkers trilogy.
Ooh.
Yes, so this is all based on Ada Lovelace, but kind of set in an alternate universe. It's a Euro game. Funny that, me picking a Euro game. Stick to form, Andy. Where you are working with dice and gears and blueprints and analytical engines. It does sound remarkably reminiscent of Weather Machine, I'm not going to lie. In order to literally build an engine. Mm-hmm. To get points and generally, win the game that way. So it does sound pretty good. It has all of the elements what I like: a bit of placement, a bit of rondel, a bit of thinking, a bit of engine building. So I am quite looking forward to this. And whenever somebody announces this is going to be part of a trilogy, you can bet your bollocks to a barn dance I'm going to back all 3. So
I'm not familiar with that expression.
Have you two not seen Snatch?
Yes, but I don't remember that line.
It's one of Bricktop's, obviously.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Well, don't worry, you're not backing out. You bet your bollocks to a barn dance you're not backing out.
Sounds like a really aggressive version of Only Fallen Horses.
It pretty much is, yeah.
It is
pretty much is that, yeah.
Okay. Ada's Dream, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been seeing it doing the rounds. Early reviews have come out of this, so I've been seeing it on Instagram mainly a lot. It looks and sounds absolutely brilliant. Really,
Yes.
really interested to see it.
Yeah, Elora's really interested in this as well, so I think we are going to be making a beeline for Alley Cat's stand as soon as we get there. Well, not only because obviously we want to play it, but also Alley Cat are almost always mobbed.
Yeah.
Because they're very, very popular. So if you do want to get, I don't know, I'm telling people this because I'm just undermining my own ability to go and see them. But if you do want to go and see Alley Cat's games, you better get in quick because they are usually busy. I don't think you can book usually, but you just kind of turn up and just kind of loiter,
Correct.
and they'll try
they
and find a
don't
seat.
normally take bookings.
And Ada's Dream is not the only game they're demoing new. They've got like 5 new games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing well. So yes, I am looking forward to that. So yes, that's Ada's Dream from Alley Cat Games.
It's me, right? It's me. There was a plan to this. Steve did tell me the plan, and I forgot it for a minute there. Right.
And he hasn't got a biscuit in his mouth to make
I've
an
not got any
excuse now.
biscuit, and I've done homework. I'm ahead of the game. I've picked some games, and I've wrote some notes. So I'm learning. And I want to talk about a game which is
That's a solid start, mate. It's
Well, it's a bit like a white whale for me, this one, right? I've been sort of seeing this one a lot, off and on, for the series anyway, for a long time. And it's Undaunted, right? And I see Undaunted games at Expo every year we're there. There's always a new one every year of some flavour. And every year I go, that's my sort of cheese, that. I want to play that. It's got the right theme for me. It's, World War II themed, war game, smashed together with a deck builder. I mean, come on. It's got everything you want.
I really am shocked you didn't buy the Battle of Britain one last year because you were really all over that.
Well, the
really
thing that
were,
happened was, right, here's what happens, right, with me in Undaunted games. It's a theme that only I like. Mrs. G, no interest in it whatsoever. Most people I know don't care. It's a 2-player game, which really screws me up because who else am I going to play it with? That doesn't like the theme.
You could play with that young man in the background there, mate.
He's too small for him, mate. He'll just eat the airplanes. But that's the thing. Right? But here's the thing. Osprey, who published this game, have gone, do you know what? We'll get him this year. We'll really get him this year. Right? We'll get him. And what have they done, right? What have they done? Undaunted 2200 Callisto. Right? Okay, so what they've done, they've taken Undaunted, war game, deck builder, World War II set, and gone, nah, bollocks to that. Let's put it in space. Right? Space-based, Jupiter game. Well,
That's got you by the short and curlies, hasn't it?
Oh, right. So now I'm a bit more interested. I'm going, okay, now, okay. That's another theme I really like. I'm all over this. But then they go, no, that's not quite enough. That won't be enough to get him to play. That won't be enough to sit him down at our table and get him playing. No, what we'll do is we'll put robots in it. Ex-military war machine robot-y things. We'll put major corporations in it. Hell, put Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. Total Recall the theme. Brilliant. Right. Okay, that'll sit him down. No, that's not enough. Not enough, say Osprey Games. Not enough. No. Now what they do is they go, you know that 2-player count? Sod that. Let's make it a 1-player, 2-player, or 4-player game.
Oh.
But not 3.
No, because it's 2v2. Right? So, quite frankly, right? Don't care what anyone else is doing. I'm playing this game because they have ticked every single box. Apart from flashing their boobies at me, right? They've done everything they could possibly do to go and get me to play an Undaunted game. And I am so fucking excited, right? I can barely hold myself back here.
He's actually shaking.
I am really, really excited about it.
Have you seen the artwork for this yet,
I have seen the artwork. I then had to wipe my monitors down. And it is everything. I mean, it's 8 scenarios, so it's got plenty of replayability. They've taken away I don't know if you've seen the other Undaunted games, but the other Undaunted games, they're like Mansions of Madness kind of tiles that you grow the map from. Mm-hmm. So you have to spend time looking at an instruction sheet to work out where to place all the tiles and build them all board up.
Yeah.
Nah, scrub that. Just take a board out. There's 4 boards in there, double-sided. Flip the one you want, block it down, crack on. I tell you what, they've got me.
Oh, they've almost got me as well.
They have
Turksy's got his hand in this and all.
They have absolutely got me on this game. I am really excited about it.
It does look a bit Mass Effect-y, I'm not going to lie.
You're not making it worse by saying stuff like that.
No, it wasn't. It was not intended to make it good or bad. Just kind of an observation. It does look a bit Mass Effect-y. But, yes, well.
No, I'm dead keen to see this. Been seeing a lot of the images because they've got Roland McDonald back as the artist for this one, and he's been sharing some of the artwork he's done for this, but without any of the kind of the game overlay stuff. So it's just the pure art, and it looks phenomenal. It looks so nice. So very excited to see this one. Me to pick, I'm going to pick another game that I think Sid's going to really enjoy, because I know Sid enjoys his worker placement games and he likes his bling to a degree, sensible levels of bling. I'm going to pick Mutagen from Dranda Games, and it only cropped up on my list kind of last week. And this is a worker placement game where you have 3 different workers, different coloured workers, and you send them off, and depending which worker you send, which colour worker you send to a location, changes how good that action selection is. But on top of that, it's called Mutagen because you're going to be mutating your workers. And you're not only going to be doing this, keeping this a track with like cards and stuff, you're actually going to have little clip-on meeple bits, so you can add claws and tentacles and wings to your meeples, to your workers, which improves them. So you're going to be making these biological changes to your workers, and then and how they change the board state. I think it looks really clever. I don't think it's going to be overdone. I think it's going to serve its purpose. Dranda do some really nice games. They're normally quite well, the previous ones anyway, up until Galactic Cruise, were quite small boxes. This looks really nice, and I think it's going to be worth looking at. It's very, very new, hot off the press type of stuff. This is as well.
It sounds, just on from that description, like a cross between Dice Forge and White Castle.
I was thinking Anachrony in the way that the workers of that have got to be specialised.
Yes.
None of these things are bad things.
No.
None of these things.
Good.
To quote Sid, this is not a bad thing you're saying.
No, not intended. It's just things what it reminds us of. So Dice Forge crossed with Anachrony, crossed with White Castle. That's not a bad combination. Speaking of Anachrony, I've not played my copy yet.
So, and I love the artwork for this as well. It looks very kind of comic book retro-y. So I'm very much down for that as well. So that is one of the games I really want to look at is Mutagen.
Nice. That sounds good, actually. Have you got that booked in, or shall we go and poke that together, as it were?
No, because I don't think there's any space left in my calendar to book anything else in.
Well, I will do it, because I, like my colleague Mr. Gale, we are operating on the principle of the seat of pants.
Opportunistic board gamers we are.
Exactly,
we'll turn up, and if there's a game to be played, we'll play it.
Give it some
And if there's people in the way, we'll loiter and stare over them and breathe heavily till they off, and then we can sit down and play.
Right, so that was Mutagen, which is the Euro game. I'm going to go complete opposite end of the playground.
Okay.
Because this is the first time that Corvus Belli will be at UK Games Expo. So Corvus Belli are known or famous for producing Affinity, which is a miniatures war game. And Affinity is going to be a major part of their stand. Which means it's going to look amazing because you can't play Affinity with a small amount of terrain. So I'm looking forward to seeing how crazy the boards they've got set up are. This is a game where you're supposed to play over like an entire city. It will catch your eye as you walk past. So there's a couple of things that are interesting from Corvus Belli stand. Number one, they're going to be bringing Affinity, and I understand that they will be selling starter sets to try and get the game, to get you into the game. But they'll also be showing off their new racing game, I believe. But they'll also be showing off Warcrow. Now, Warcrow is actually 2 games. There's Warcrow Adventures, which is what I've already played a demo of, which I believe will be there for demo, which is a Mansions of Madness cross with Descent style miniatures adventure war game, app driven. So you go into a room, you'll have events, you'll fight monsters. But the really cool thing about this is the way the initiative works is actions take time, and you have a little clock. So every time you do an action, if it takes 2 slots, it takes 2. So you can do lots of short actions and have several turns, or you can do one really powerful action, but then you won't be doing something for quite some time and other things will be activating. So a really clever strategy thing there. The adventure board game actually is only one side of the thing. They're also doing another miniatures war game based in the same universe. Now, I understand they'll be showing that off, but I don't know to what extent. I don't know whether it's going to be there to demo or just miniatures in a cabinet for you to drool over. But they're making a big deal of this. It's going to be relatively low miniature count, so the skirmish-esque, like kill team kind of size, but on a larger board. And I'm very excited for it. They've been actually talking about Warcrow for like 2 or 3 years now. They've been really building the hype of this game slowly up and up. And I really love Affinity and I want to play more of it. And if this fantasy one's just as good, then I will be probably tapping into that one as well. I believe a Kickstarter may be coming later in the year for the start set, but I don't know. So that's Corvus Belli, and it's Warcrow and Affinity.
It'll be interesting to see how Warcrow compares to Celestial Affinity, what I've got from Cerberus, because they're both fantasy skirmish games. So what we'll have to do, Steve, is do an in-depth review and analysis over the course of, say, a weekend, in the absence of anybody else, and just really probe these games for research purposes only, of course.
Yes, of course. Which, of course, Celestial Affinity will be there, of course.
They will indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Cerberus Studios, yes. They've got Celestial Affinity, which is their sort of medieval fantasy tabletop skirmish game, and also Mortal's Reckoning, which is their kind of adjunct RPG type game. I don't know a huge amount about it. I do have a couple of miniatures from the game that I bought a couple of years ago, which I'm still to paint. But that is a slightly different scale. I think it's 35mm scale rather than the 55 from Celestial. But yeah, so Ben's doing 2 games. And yeah, Mortal's Reckoning is kind of a bigger world with, I think there's an RPG associated with it. So obviously I'm going to be poking that now. There's a bit more hype for that as well. So I do keep an eye on Cerberus Studios because I do like his stuff. And I am still yet to try and even consider painting the Emperor Aranath.
Did you buy that in the end, did you?
Yes.
Of course he bought it. He'd covered it in so much of Andy's special sauce. By that point, he had to buy it.
I bought it at last year's Expo.
That's what I mean.
bought it at home.
There was so much drool all over it from every time we went past it. I went, I've got to buy that.
Ben had to put it away and hide it because there was so much drool on it. He couldn't sell it to anyone else. He did keep me a copy of it, fair. But yeah, it's not cheap. It's 23 centimeters tall. It's massive.
It is beautiful.
It is a lovely
It is
model.
absolutely stunning.
It doesn't actually enter the game at all. It is just porn. It really is just miniature porn. But because if it did, it would just obviously stomp everybody. But it's a wonderful kind of environmental piece. So, and that does remind me, I need to start building some terrain because I bought a shitload of that foam stuff you could build things out of, and I bought a foam cutter as well. So I'm prepared. I just haven't done anything with it yet. So I need to get my finger out. Speaking of which, my second game of quite a long list I have here is one that I understand is probably going to boil Sid's piss a bit, but we shall see. As you know, we do like a bit of Lovecraft in this podcast, and we do like a good RPG. So, for the first time, I understand, the RPG from Critical Role called Candela Obscura is available for the first time. I understand there's about 3 or 4 series of them playing it on Critical Role's website, but I think it's now available for the first time. And I did have a look at this, and I thought, oh, that's a bit nice. So I have been taken in, I'm not going to lie, by the pretty marketing that Critical Role are very good at, and also the idea of Lovecraft, or at least it's not Lovecraft, but it might as well be. It's obviously it's cosmic horror, magic, occult, that kind of thing. So not quite Lovecraft, but close enough. But it does sound interesting. It's an RPG, so we do like an RPG, but Mr. Gill remains unconvinced, and I would like to hear why.
It's difficult to put into words. I think it's because, in my mind, I want to like this. I really, really want to like this. It's kind of like oysters, right? People tell you should like oysters, right? I don't like oysters.
That's like because it's just cold, salty
runny
snot. It's disgusting,
right? Just minging. Okay?
Yep.
But people say, you got to learn the taste for it and all this stuff. And I just not, I don't know. Everything about this I should like. It's RPG. It's not Cthulhu, but Cthulhu based. Lovecraftian kind of horror stuff. It's set in the 1920s steampunk kind of style setting. Everything about it I should like. But I'm not. Now, here's the caveat. I've not played it. I've seen it played. I've seen it delivered by the Critical Role team. And I got really bored with it.
Really?
Now that could have been because of the way they were playing it and nothing to do with the game. But I have not yet separated the two. So I'm willing to be convinced otherwise, and my opinion to be challenged and told I'm wrong, because, that's what this is all about. But I felt it had a very thin veneer draped over a D&D game, basically, was what it felt like to me.
I flicked through the quick start of this when they first launched it. Drive-Through RPG had PDFs of the quick start and downloaded it. I had a flick through in case I was going to run it. It is bizarre in that the rules are loosely based on the Blades in the Dark rules, but it's not a Blades in the Dark style game in that the dice mechanic is the Blades in the Dark dice mechanic, but it doesn't do the crazy time traveling, here's what we had earlier, flashback kind of stuff. Yeah. It's very much a more traditional, this is a pre-written adventure kind of thing. But it did look really interesting to me. It's supposed to be rules light to make the game move, and I felt that the rules weren't.
That rulebook does not look light.
No, it didn't. It didn't look much lighter than, say, most Free League Year Zero games.
Sure.
So it looked a smidge lighter than them, but the idea is then that becomes you focus on the story more than the rules, which, to be fair, my view of Critical Role is they don't actually play D&D. They play a very cut down version of D&D anyway, so that makes sense. But yeah, I'm actually interested. I didn't realise this was going to be there. This is new to me. So Darlington Press have got the stand, and they've actually got another game as well for the Queen available. So I'm going to be definitely looking at this.
Yeah, I'm going to be loitering around their stand like a fly on shite. I really am. It does look nice. I wonder if they're going to have... I mean, they're probably just going to be giving you the marketing spiel and this is how the game works, etc. So I doubt they'll be doing demonstrations because I guess an RPG...
No, I mean, the best way to see an RPG sold to you is a quick run-through of an hour or a quick start. And it's not uncommon for a run-through of it.
It's not a big stand.
No, I don't think
it's a board game, so I think it's just going to be for sale there, yeah.
I don't think they're going to be doing demos because... It does, yeah. Steve's right. You need 4 players. It needs to be slightly organised, and you need to go through the rules, and then you have to play it and do a scenario. So it's probably not the best thing for a loud, noisy, crazy expo.
I don't know. I mean, all the Free Leave, Modifius, they're doing the same thing. Expo. Look, I look forward, Andy, to you buying a copy and convincing me that I'm wrong.
I have already resigned myself to buying this.
Both of those things make you a winner.
I already am a winner, mate. I just, continually prove it.
Why don't you tell us a bit more about some Cthulhu Lovecraft things, Sid?
I can if you would like.
That was as smooth as a syrup enema, that was.
That's
about the only smooth segue we're going to get based on this list.
It was.
Take advantage of it while you can.
It was a slippery slope segue, that one. No, so my second game that I'm really excited about, right? And this one got me very excited in our preview of the year, I think.
Yeah.
Games to look forward to the year. And that is Horror on the Orient Express.
Hell yeah.
Board game.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. So those seasoned RPGers among us, or those people that have not lived in a cave for the last 25 or 30 odd years, will know that Horror on the Orient Express started its life as a full-blown RPG and one of the most respected campaigns, I believe, in this space.
Hey.
And it's coming to board game format. It's being brought to you, right, by, board game designing elite.
Yeah.
Nemesis,
Loyalty.
Frostpunk, Adam Kapinski is your designer here. or co-designer at least.
Now, it should be pointed out that we're excited to see this game, but we don't need to be, do we? Sid
No, we don't.
Or Andy.
No, we don't, right? Because a thing happened. All right?
A thing happened, yes.
It was an incident.
I screen grabbed this thing that happened. So I backed the game for £1, thinking, shall I get it? Shall I wait until the backer kit? I'll wait until the backer kit comes out, the pledge manager. It might be an expo. Sid had even said, it's going to be an expo. I said, all right then, pledge for £1. I'll go play the expo. It'll be grand. And then I got 5 minutes. I think it must have been like something ridiculous, like an hour to go before the Kickstarter ended. I got cold feet and went, nah, this is ticking on my boxes, this. I'm going to back it. So I sent a message to Sid and Andy going, I'm going to back this. Next thing I know, I look at my cover of my iPad and I've screen grabbed this and it said, Sid Gill has backed Horror on the Orient Express. Andy Lewis has backed Horror on the Orient Express. So between 4 of us, there are now 3 copies of this game going to be arriving. My
excuse, and I'm going to stand by this, right? My excuse is Sue needed more minis to paint, right? This is charity, right? I'm a mere passenger, forgive the pun, on this train.
Enabler.
All right? I'm just along for the ride. But, come on, look, right, okay, look. Horror on the Orient Express, right? I think I've narrowed this down to a single sentence description which should go on the box, right? It's a co-op game where you find the baddies before the monsters eat you. That's the game, right?
That sounds perfect.
Do you know what I mean? Right?
It's Mansions of Madness then.
Well, sort of, yeah.
On a train.
It is on a train.
Isn't there actually a Mansion?
Yes, there is. Yes.
Imagine Mansions of Madness had a love child with Unfathomable. And I think you've got this game.
Well, as I understand it, aren't there some of the passengers on the train are cultists, but nobody actually plays as any of the cultists. You all play as investigators.
You're all investigators, so there's no hidden bad guy. It's a logic deduction puzzle to work out who the bad guy, who the cultist is. But along the journey of trying to find out the cultist, right, you've got a choice to make. You can make the train go faster, which helps you avoid the baddies attacking you and slowing you down and causing mayhem and mischief and sending you insane and all the other classic Cthulhu stuff. Right? But if you speed the train up, you don't have as long to work out who the cultist is. And if you don't work out who the cultist is by the end of the game, then you lose. There's about 10 ways to lose this game and 1 to win it.
That sounds about right for a Lovecraft game.
I quite like that. For a co-op game, you want multiple ways of losing.
It's absolutely fantastic. And the fact that you don't have the unfathomable problem of somebody, at least one person, being a bad guy in it, it means you are truly working together to solve the mystery. So you're pulling on your talents of your investigators who are all different. So there's a bit of an RPG element in it, so you can kind of own your character and bring them to life a little bit.
Lean into their strengths, yeah.
Exactly that. You get to upgrade your character as you play through the game, so you can unlock new actions or upgrade existing actions. There's vampires in it. There's proper Cthulhu-esque monsters in it. Look, guys, I mean, it's a beauty, right?
It does look lovely.
It's on Tabletop Simulator for anyone that's really wanting to play right now. I'm playing it at Expo purely because I feel I need to, because if I don't, I'm not going to cope with the rest of the year.
You're going to be quite an unhappy bunny if you play it and hate it. Now you've backed it. But never mind, moving on.
I don't think I will hit it. I think unless it's fundamentally broken, right? There is so much going on in this game that I think it'll be difficult to dislike it. I really do. And do you know what? That's going to be my famous last words. Watch our post-Expo episode and I'll be a crying wreck of a man that spent too much money on a game I don't want.
I don't really think surprised, given the fact that this is Adam Kopinski.
I agree.
I'm really surprised that this isn't a really clever game. And I'm going to double down on this bet. I reckon you are going to be surprised. You're going into this game thinking it's going to be great for all of these reasons, but in our post-Expo talk, the reason you love this game is something you don't even know about yet.
And that is exactly why I love this game. Yeah. There is so much going on in it that I already kind of know about and I've seen and I've looked into, but I think there's as much I don't know about it. And that's really what's got me excited about this game, and the fact that it's horror on the Orient Express, and it's come from RPGs. And I've always said RPGs are the best game in the world, and therefore I'm right. And this will vindicate me because somebody's taken one of the best RPGs here and made it a board game.
How heftily did you back it? Is it just asking?
So what I've done, Andy, right, you see, is I did back it for everything.
Nice.
And then I had a moment of panic. I got scared. So I backed out a bit.
Oh.
Right? But
the mark of the amateur.
But my plan is, because it's game found.
Oh, you'll go back on the Pledge Manager. They'll add shit on the Pledge Manager anyway. They always do. There'll be a couple of add-ons they've thought of. Oh shit, yeah, quick, flog him this. Andy will buy it. He'll be fine.
Well, it was kind of... Yeah, the thing was, right, they already put the expansion out, right? There's an expansion already coming out as part of the Kickstarter game.
Yeah, it's pretty normal, right?
So that's a given. You've got to get that, because that adds new investigators, and there's other things that it unlocks, means that you can play the suspects as investigators as well, and things like that. So it gives you more characters.
Ooh.
But then there's an Ultra Bling box, which is literally an Ultra Bling box. It's posher monsters, it's acrylic tiles. It's the Andy box.
The Andy box.
And it's the Andy box. I feel like I don't need it, but I think I'm going to play it at Expo, and the only thing that held me back was I didn't really see where this bling fitted. And I've got, Rory said it earlier, I don't like bling when it adds nothing. It has to add something to the game for me. And just looking nice is not enough for me.
You don't need it, but it is nice. It's like the little models I got of part of Castles of Burgundy from Awakened Realms' Super Pimp version. They're actually a bit of a faff, because you've got to take off the acrylic tile and put the little model on the board instead. And you've got to keep the acrylic tile, especially for the little monasteries with the
yellows
that they have. So you've got to keep them to one side. Anyway, to be fair, they do provide a little sideboard to actually put those on, so they have thought about it a bit. But it is a bit of a faff. But they do look fantastic. They do. But I think the acrylic ones are the best. But anyway, I assume this is Awakened Realms, isn't it?
No,
it's Chaosium. It's Chaosium, mate.
Chaosium, is it? Oh, you see, I've paid that much attention.
And the best thing about going,
of course I have, yes.
And the best thing about going to the Chaosium stall, right, is that there might be a copy of Master of Nyarlathotep sat there.
How convenient.
Might be. Just accidentally maybe sat around, lying around. Nobody wanting it. And, Uncle Steve over there has a bit of an issue. He needs a copy of that in his life, because if he didn't have it, he wouldn't be complete.
It's not wrong. Solid logic, that, Mr. Tudor.
I need to make a small bank loan. But yes, I nearly bought it last year at Expo, and I didn't. I actually forgot. I forgot to buy it on the Sunday. So yes, no doubt we're going to be at the stand for Horror the Express anyway. So
we're going to be there too long, mate, from neither you or I to not indulge ourselves in a little bit more.
Bit more Cthulhu. We do love some Cthulhu, don't we?
We really do.
Let's get off this Cthulhu train
and get onto them.
Boom tish.
And let's just get onto another train, shall we? Let's talk about another game I'm really keen to see, which is Terminus, which is going to be on the Inside Up stand. This is a route building action programming game. I'm really keen to see this. You are Subway developers, and you are having to build routes, build stations, manage the supply of materials to the stations, to lay the tracks. This is a really kind of mid to heavyweight Euro game that looks very, very clever, and it's it's Inside Up, which have got that did Earth. This is a game that what's the chap Lacerda said was a really tricky, tough game. So
Jesus, wow,
yeah, he said it was a clever and hard game. So I'm like, this is something that I really want to check out. I don't normally like route building games, but this kind of looks like a really crisp. It looks like it's got some other mechanisms going into it, and then route building is just almost kind of like part of that interface with the board, and you've got to do a lot of other stuff around that beforehand. So I've
just looked at the board, and there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
This is Andy's cheese, without a doubt.
100%. This is Andy's
Hell
cheese.
yeah. Do you know what this reminds me of? Is you being a bit of and any of you, obviously, presumably a lot of you have played SimCity and are aware of its work.
Oh, yeah.
There is another game out there that's similar, but very much railway-based, called A-Train. Or I think the most recent version is Train Giant. It's basically A-Train 9. And that is basically this. You own a train company and you are building tracks, and you also break out into like stock market, and you can build hotels and various other buildings around it. And the idea is you've basically got to make money, and you can do that. But you also have to move resources in and out on the train. So you can buy freight trains to move. Like you build a factory and it produces goods, and you can move those goods on the train to somewhere else, and those goods are used to build buildings, and so you make profit and stuff. And it really reminds me of that. So this is basically A-Train, the board game, and it sounds bloody marvellous.
It does look really neat. It looks really bright.
really nice.
It looks like, although it's got a lot going on the board, it looks like it's got a really clean kind of UI to it. I'm really keen to check this out. I did back this on Kickstarter, but then bottled it at the last minute because it just started getting more and more expensive. Yeah. You missed it despite me pointing it out to you.
I know.
I may have pointed it out to you at the exact same time that I was like, I don't think I can afford this, so I'm going to see if I can get Andy to buy it instead.
Piss.
But yeah, that's Terminus from Inside Up Games, which I'm really keen to see. So
maybe they'll have a limited edition copy of it on their stand or something.
I don't know if that.
I can imagine there are late pledges available.
Stop it.
And there's a lot of bling with this as well, Andy. You like the blinged out version looks immense. Man looks up thing on internet.
Man look things up like, yeah, man is now live Kickstartering with Andy. Oh, it's a pre-order. It's not a light backer, it's a pre-order.
What's the difference?
They might have like Kickstarter exclusives that aren't going to be in the pre-order, because the pre-order will just be like the regular commercial version. It depends on how they've done it. They might have it. Okay. I should click the button and find out.
Just keep clicking buttons until you get to the end.
Terminus, pre-order disclaimer, they will ship blah, 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 blah. Pre-ordered items, it doesn't
Go on
say.
then, Steve. Go on, bring us home. From trains to
Middle Earth.
Yes.
Sorry. There was no way. I told you there was smooth segues are going to be hard here. Right. Now, one of Rory's favourite games is a game called Seven Wonders Duel. Now, I appreciate this game. I like this game, but I'm bloody awful at it. I'm absolutely terrible. But I must admit, and I mentioned this actually, it might have been a couple of episodes ago when we were talking about themes I'm bored of. And I'm bored of Civilization themes. So Seven Wonders Duel doesn't really excite me when it comes to theme. In fact, that theme could be more or less anything, because I don't think it applies to Civilizations at all anyway. Well, what if you take that game and add a Lord of the Rings theme onto it?
Ooh.
What happens then? Yes, indeed.
Now you have my attention, basically. So yes, it is a two-player, so it's going to be a two-player game based on the Seven Wonders Duel basic system. So cards are arranged in a pattern, and you will take turns taking a card from this pattern, which will reveal other cards. So there are that clever thing of, do I take this card because I want this card, but if I do want this card, it might reveal the card that Rory wants. Or do I take that card, leaving Rory with cards he doesn't want? So you've got to do that whole thing of working at multiple levels, but you're also doing the whole thing of like the ring, the Fellowship of the Ring versus the forces of Mordor. So you're bouncing back and forth with that. Other than the basic mechanics, I don't really know much about it. There are a couple of images which does really at the moment look a bit like Seven Wonders with a retheme, but there's a second board with some other stuff going on, like a little map of Middle Earth. So there's obviously movement going round or control of areas going round. It's already very popular because Seven Wonders Duel is a very popular game. And I believe it's going to be on the Asmodee stand. And I've heard that you have to book, and bookings are filling up fast, is what I understand.
Bookings, they're only taking bookings on the day. There's no advanced bookings for this.
There's no advanced bookings.
So if you want to play this game, you've got to get over to the correct Asmodee stand, because they've got about 5.
Really?
So you need to get to the because it's Asmodee. They've got so many, and they're not being very. At the moment, it's not terribly clear which stand it's actually on. I think it's the preview stand, which I think is 1952. Do not quote me on that, but I think you've got to go over there, sign up for a demo. As I also understand it, that if you do sign up for a demo, the game's actually under embargo, so you can't take any photos of it because all of the artwork is prototype. This is going to be for full release at Essen.
Oh, right, okay.
So if you do want to play this, you can play it, but you will not be able to take photos of the game.
Wow.
Wow, okay. Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, this is a proper world first expo, isn't it?
It's a big...
As you said, if it's embargoed as well, it's like, proper.
I mean, I was told it was under embargo, but considering I'm going to be seeing it a little bit earlier than Friday...
nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
I'm like, well, if I'm not allowed to take photos of it, but John Smith and Karen can take photos on Friday, what's the difference there? But we'll see. I am so excited about this. When this released, there was no box art. It's all kind of just preview mock-ups at the moment. So excited. I'm really keen to see how the wonder aspect fits into it with Seven Wonders and Seven Wonders Duel. You've got these things and it's combined, but because those are drawn between you as two players, it doesn't really matter whether you get the Sphinx and I get the pyramids and you get the Hanging Gardens of Babylon and whatever. But
you'll be building things like Barad-dûr and stuff like that.
But why would I on the Fellowship be building Barad-dûr where you as the bad guy are going to be building Helm's Deep?
As I said, there are some images available on Board Game Geek, and they show like a trackboard which goes from the Shire at one end to the fires of Mount Doom at the other side.
Yeah.
So let's guess what that track's doing.
Yeah.
And then there's another board which is, like I said, a map of Middle Earth with lines between various zones. So there's some kind of area control going on here as well. So I do, but yes, we will see. Hopefully, hopefully.
It probably doesn't have the wonder aspect. Then it probably just has something else, as you say, Steve.
I think it has something else. Yeah, but as I said, very new. So there's very little information about this. We are kind of guessing based on what information we have at this point. No.
Wild speculation.
Very exciting.
Unfounded wild speculation is what we're found.
Absolutely true. Yes.
Come on then, Andy. Tell us again a game we do know about them.
Well, we know the name. I wouldn't say I know much about it. I'm torn now between one of the other three, but I'm going to go with shock horror, another Euro, which is Rebirth, which I do like to look at. I've seen a little bit about this on the old Instagram. A few people have been sort of looking at this and reviewing it and stuff. And this is a kind of a game Steve's going to love, having literally just said, I'm getting bored of Civilization games. So, calamities that have left civilization in shambles. It is up to us as the players to basically rebuild society. Apparently, Scotland lies in ruins. It must have been a particularly good Friday night. And the ancient clans have taken it upon themselves to restore the land. So, basically, you are putting down tiles to rebuild land. So, you'll get points for building various combinations of these tiles. Based on a classic genre, apparently. I'm not familiar with the actual original game. It seems to be referring to Rainer Knizia is the designer. Mighty Boards Publishing, and it does look quite beautiful.
Very nice. This is not a Civilization game. No. We're not starting with guys with spheres and ended up with a nuclear age. No, it's fine. I'm all right.
He's okay with it. It's all right.
Yeah,
it is actually hilariously currently, as I say this on the 21st of May, it is currently live on Kickstarter, and I think it lasts until the 12th of June. So you can go and play it at Expo, and if you like the look of it, you can go and back it. And looking at it, weirdly, I get a very reminiscent feel of Ragusa. I don't know why, but I do.
Yeah, I can see where you're getting that from. I really can.
I'm sure it doesn't play anything like Ragusa, but it does look a bit like the idea. So I am quite keen on this, because it doesn't sound too heavy. I think it's going to hit that sort of nice middleweight, light rules, crunchy thinking kind of thing that we all like. Basically, you're drawing a tile and sticking it on the board, which is pretty straightforward, but I think it's probably going to have quite a few consequences that would kick off with all of that. So, you make one wrong move and your opponent's going to have you kind of thing, which I think is going to be quite good. And probably on a Sunday afternoon when we're all playing, be responsible for quite lots of pretty language.
Ooh. It's only 39 quid. That's punt territory these days.
Yes, exactly. No, it's really cheap. It's 45 euros.
Ridiculous, is
right. Is that everyone going on Kickstarter right now?
Pretty much now. Yeah, I was actually eyeing the project up before this we started recording. I thought, ooh, do I?
I'm going to play it first.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I'm going to be a bit cheeky here because this has reminded me of another game which Rory hasn't put on the list, which I thought he was going to.
You sod.
So, 5 games in an hour.
No, Rory knows about this one because me and Rory have played this one. And you say a tile laying game, and this is remind me of Loot. Or Loot.
Right,
it's 3 O's, isn't it?
That is on my list. It's in the Before We Go section on the show notes.
Is it?
Yeah, it is there, yeah.
Right, well, I don't care. I'm jumping in. I'm saying it now because I played this and this tile laying thing reminded me. And me and Rory played it. It's on Board Game Arena and it's on the Hatchet stand. And it's a vampire. It's a Viking game.
Very different.
This horror of the express has murdered my mind. It's a Viking themed game where you're doing raids, and basically all you're doing is you're putting Vikings down on one board, which tells you what kind of loot you're going to grab, and you're going to put that tile of loot on your board, and then you're placing that to score points. It's ridiculously simple rules, yet 3 turns in, I suddenly went, oh dear gods, the amount of options available to me each round are ridiculous. I can't keep this all in my head. I've already screwed up. Absolutely beautiful. You can tell exactly where I screwed up as well.
Steve messaged me. He was like, oh, I've screwed up. I was like, Steve, it's the first turn. You've placed 1 tile.
But yes, it's really nice. It looks pretty. It looks simple. And it's a really good tile-laying game. So that's my quick one in there. I'll let you get back to you guys. Right, Sid, what are you doing?
What am I doing? Well, I've left my last slot empty.
Ooh.
So he's not
and
done
I
his
like
homework.
to. Well, now you might think that. Right? You might think that.
With good reason.
Based on the evidence, yes.
Give me a chance to make a
Sid is hiding in the back of the class, waiting for everyone else to hand their homework in and hoping the teacher forgets to ask him.
I kind of hoped Steve would skip over me. But no, in seriousness, I haven't ignored. No, this was a conscious decision because I like leaving a slot open to let you guys pick a game for me.
Oh,
I enjoyed that when we've done it in previous years because it gives me, because as you know, you got well, most people know that I haven't played for as long as you guys have, and I haven't played the wealth of games you guys have. So I like to have a bit of a wild card, like the TV house shows, House in the Country, whatever it's called, or whatever, and they always have a wild card house in there. When you're off sick from work or something, you're watching that shite. So I feel like I want one of those.
Ooh.
I want a wild card game.
You want the mystery house.
I want there you go. See, Steve's seen it. I'm not mental, right? So I want
jury's still out.
I want a mystery game suggested by you guys that I might not have for whatever reason, the theme or the game style or the play or whatever it is, I would never have thought myself to go and pick that from a list.
Do you want a true mystery game?
Well,
because I've got a possible one here, unless someone comes up with. Well, maybe we can all pitch one, but I'm going to quickly mention one, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Vrahode, The Age of Prophecy.
Okay.
And I mention this as a mystery game because I can't work out what it is, but it has my attention. It is apparently the first in a series of games based in this setting. And it's fantasy, maybe some gribblies that are a little bit Dark Soulsy / Cthulhu-esque. But there's stats, there's miniatures, there's maps. It looks like it could be an RPG, but the description of what the game is And what the series of games is kind of a bit vague, that I can't work out what this is. It says it's an epic journey for 1 to 4 players over a fantasy world 30 years in the making.
I wonder if it's going to be something like... Remember that game that we went through with Mr. Paul Grogan a few years ago that I think Czech Games Edition were making? And it had those maps, and there was like a sort of 12-story campaign, and we played the first couple. And it was
I do remember that.
I can't remember what it was called.
I don't.
Do you not? Sid and I definitely played it. We played a demo of it online.
You played it online?
Yeah.
Oh, Agamonia.
That's the one, Agamonia. Yes. It might be a bit like that.
In all honesty, I don't know. Hence why it's a mystery game, and I'm definitely going to see it because it has piqued my interest. It really has, and I want to know what it is. And I can't make an opinion on whether it looks good or not because it looks good. All the artwork looks lovely, but I don't quite know what it is yet. So that's piqued my interest. That's my mystery game, Sid. It's a mystery to both of us.
It does sound good.
Well, that's a good pitch. That's a good pitch from the gaffer there. Anyone else want to tip up with a suggestion?
I'm going to go in one, and I feel like this is real. I feel like I'm kind of cheating now because I know I'm going to pick one that I know you're interested in because I told you about it at the weekend. But so I'm going to.
Don't admit that. You could have got away and blagged that entire thing, and nobody would have known anymore. Why? You're such a rule follower.
Look, is it a surprise that I'm a job's worth? Right. I'm going to pick SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. This is from Czech Games Edition, as we've just mentioned. This is their big release for this year. This, to me, looks brilliant. Based on how much we enjoyed Cut Nahora and how much we've enjoyed other previous CGE releases, I think this is going to have really great development, really good final finish, and it's going to be in that punt territory of prices. Again, as we know that CGE always put out great games at a very good price. This is hitting your space theme that I know you like, Sid. Going back to what I said at the top of this episode, this is a circular board. So in this, you've got this kind of rotating circular board. I would say Zolkin-esque, but it's not quite because these are kind of stacked up on top of each other, rotating discs that represent the night sky, and you're looking to send satellites or rockets into space to explore the stars. So you're either going to be doing searching, putting satellites into space to kind of do some research, do some investigations. You're going to be sending stuff to planets, to the moons, to asteroids, to mine for resources and to discover what's out there, or using your telescopes based on situated on Earth and looking out and trying to explore the galaxy, the Milky Way, that way. This is a game which has got one of those huge deck of cards. It's got like 200 cards in it, each which feature kind of some real life scientific equipment that is all there with some fun facts on them as well as this gameplay. I think this is going to be that mid to heavy Euro weight. It's going to have a really interesting board. It's going to have fantastic production, and it's going to be a really smooth game development in there as well. Sid, my recommendation to you is SETI from Czech Games Edition.
It looks really nice.
It looks good.
I'm looking at it now. It looks really good.
You've made my knickers a bit wet there, Rory.
You spilled your tea.
I'm all out of tea, boss. Here, there's nothing left.
Nice.
But that sounds. Yes. Right. Are you tipping up, Andy?
I could tip one. I'm kind of choosing between one of two, but I'm going to jump on the old space theme. Another one.
It's a good concept.
Given that you've thrown that. You've put that hand on the table already, and I know Rory's interested in this one as well because it was on his list.
It is on my list.
Yeah, and this is Shackleton Base from Fabio Lupanio.
We do like.
Oh, hello.
We do like Fabio.
Yeah, we do. Yes, he is. And I can't remember the publisher. Who is it? It is Fabio Lupanio. Sorry, we are French.
Sorry, we are French. So they're going to be on the Hachette stand.
Brought to you by Hachette, then, yeah.
Yeah, up to Hachette. It does, again, it's actually a square board with a big round bit on it, so, you're almost there. Yeah, and this is effectively competitive base building on the moon. So there's a bit of worker placement, there's a bit of interaction and getting in each other's way. There's a bit of planning your turn. There's a bit of everything in there. So you can take your pick there. It does look very pretty. It does look well made. At least the images I've seen. They're probably still prototypes, I guess. But it does kind of remind me a little bit of On Mars.
I'm looking at the board now, and I was thinking that exact same thing.
Yes.
It does look similar.
I suspect it's a little lighter than On Mars.
You say that. It's currently rated 4.
Wow,
Weight on
that's still
BGG,
lighter
so-
than On Mars. Not by much, but
This
it is.
This is a Fabio Lopiano game. So this is Autobahn, this is Ragusa, this is Merv, Sankori. He does
ticking all the boxes
he
there,
does
mate.
not
Yeah.
make light games.
Excellent. He's welcome in my house anytime. So yes, I think we might. I think you might be interested in that one as well, mate. If you
Right,
like
well-
a bit of mental destruction.
What you've done here, gentlemen, is create me an excellent day out. Because all 3 of them sound right up my street.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, given I'm there for 3 days,
What a day.
I'm going to go and try them out. So,
It's a good show.
thank you very much.
I'm gonna have to print these show notes out just so I know where to go.
It's like I'm not even here. You know I'm going to give you a map on Friday.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, okay. I'll have to
Thing
bring a
is,
little
right,
pack in the back.
you know,
that's
like,
fair.
No, you know what you need? You know, like when you go to that restaurants and they're really busy and they give you that little blipper. You need a GPS one, so he presses the button and when he goes past the stand for a game he wants, it blips in his pocket.
that's
like
a great idea.
Oh, right! I was interested in this game. Yes, come on.
That's a good idea. And it does require a little bit of infrastructure setting up in the first place, but it's a good shout.
It's all right. Rory's got plenty of time.
I mean,
No, I don't. I got called up. I've got to make a video of all the games we want to see today.
Right then, if we're going to do 3 each, then Rory, you've got 1 left to pick. Well, we'll do a very quick roundup because as I said, we've got 30 odd games we were interested in. But yes, what's your last top pick?
Oh, you sod! Come on, I'm only allowed 1.
Yeah, top pick. Yeah.
it's too easy if you could just pick as many as you want. You have to have rules. Stay within the lines, rules.
Oh, you
true.
cock. Okay, fine. I'm going to pick a Sinister Fish game. It's going to be Yonder. Yonder from Sinister Fish, right? And that was a really tough choice you made me make, Steve. But I'm really looking forward to this because I really like Hark and Gardener's previous games. We like Villagers. We like Moon. I think it's behind me actually. It is. And I really like his art. I really like his thinking. I really like the games that Sinister Fish put out. This is a new one. It's kind of separate, completely separate from the ones he's made previously. It's a bigger box. It's an asymmetric worker placement game, civ building in a fantasy setting where it's orcs and trolls against elves and pixies, and you are building up this world and you're going off on this exploration. There isn't a great deal of information about it. I do know that the Kickstarter is going to be launching shortly after, in theory, Expo. It's got Harken's lovely artwork. This is really bright, really vibrant. It's kind of like if you put Villagers but had orcs and then you put it through like a neon jazzarupper. I think it's going to look really bright. I think it's going to really pop on the table. It's going to be that kind of medium weight game. Really interested to see what this is.
Okay, nice. So it's going to be like Villagers, Love and Thunder.
Yes, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Right, as Rory has alluded to, there's still loads of games we didn't mention, and I forced them to do a top pick. Is there any games that anyone thinks we've missed, which are I think our listeners should definitely go check out?
I think Courtisans, actually, this is the one of the one that's left on my list that I haven't mentioned. This is it's a much lighter game, which is probably one of the reasons I didn't mention it, because it isn't my usual thing. But having read it, It's essentially a card placement or choice game. You basically place 3 cards every time, and you place one of them kind of in the middle, one of them in one area, and one in another. So it's basically 3 tough decisions. Now, this reminds me of a game called Biblios, which I played relatively recently with Alora, and that's a similar sort of idea. You basically place one of the 3 cards you draw in kind of the middle central area, which is used later on. You put one in front of your opponent and they can use, whether they like it or not, and one that you keep.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a similar kind of mechanic to that. And I quite enjoyed Biblios because it is very much, and the joy of Biblios is that you can't draw all 3 cards at once. You have to make the decision when you draw the card. So you have to go, oh God, this might be good. This is all right, but the next one might be better. Do I want to keep it? Do I want to put it in the middle? Put it in the middle. Draw the one. Next one. Shit.
I don't know if that's the case with Courtisans, though.
No, I don't know, but it sounds similar enough that I think it's worth checking out.
I think the idea is that the kind of the tableau in the middle of the table, it's the Queen's dinner table. So you're assigning nobles to the Queens, which actually dictate how the game's going to score. So you're collaboratively, you're building the end game scoring mechanism as you go, and at the same time trying to build up your score and diminish your opponents.
Yes.
The art on this looks fantastic. It's got that kind of gold, silver, metallic artwork on the back of the cards. Really, really nice looking game. This was on my list as well to check out.
Yeah, it looks like a really interesting game, and I think it's got one of those kind of mechanics that you think, oh, that's interesting. So I think that's definitely worth a look.
So my quick pick is Flames of Fafnir from Lucky Duck Games. And the reason why this is not a major one is I can't work out whether this is going to be an ingenious game or a gimmick. It's a game in which you're fighting a dragon. So there's 4 of you fighting a dragon, and you've got a map in which you're approaching this big red dragon model at the end of the board. And there's all kinds of things going on. You can build defences, there's card play going on, there's stats for each of your characters. But the dragon attack is the dragon itself. It's like bowing down to breathe fire on you. Well, that bow is in fact a run for a marble, which gets dropped down the dragon, comes out the dragon's mouth and rolls across the board and hits things, and what it hits is what gets damaged by the dragon attack.
Get out of town.
That's outstanding. It's a complete gimmick, but it'll be awesome. Who cares? It's got a marble.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know how the game mechanics around that work, but that bit looks awesome.
We're playing that.
It's basically sort of dragon version of that mountain game that they released a few years ago, where you put marbles in that eruption thing, and it Thunder Mountain, Thunder whatever it's called.
My honourable mention is actually a game that I'm not too excited to see at the expo because it's behind me. Yes.
Actually, sneak peek. We'll be talking about that in 2 episodes' time.
Yes, we will. We're going to be doing a full review of this. It's Sand from De Vere. It is a really clever pick up and deliver. And if, like the Gaffer, you dislike pick up and deliver games, just listen to Steve's immediate review of Sand now.
I really enjoyed it.
Hey.
Yeah. It's a really clever. It does something really interesting with.
Do you neither pick up nor deliver?
And what it does that's interesting. It makes it impossible to move and pick up. Delivering's the easy bit. All the other parts of that, I just really make a really interesting, really hard decisions to make.
So it's more pick up or deliver.
It's.
Hopefully you get a chance to play it, but it's basically a Euro game, pick up and deliver. So every single turn is a case of, I want to do X, Y, and Z. I only have the resources to do X, which means instead of doing Y, I have to go grab resources.
New.
And can I squeeze out Z?
Yeah.
No, I can't. Right, okay.
As we played it, I was like, just be aware, chaps, this is the last turn of the game. And both Steve and Adam was just like, what the
Nice.
How am I supposed to do any of this? No. So, really, really good game. Definitely check it out if you get a chance. That's going to be over at the Cosmo and De Vere stand. It's going to be 1602.
Excellent.
Well, I think that's it. I think we've mentioned a lot of games. As I said, check out Rory's Geek List. It's in the show notes below and all over the social medias where we have stuff. Don't forget, we will be at Piazza Dice Room for 11 a.m. on Sunday, where we'll be talking nonsense. Hopefully you can join us. We will record it as well and put it out. I do believe there is a plan for Rory to quite literally glue himself to the seat of the Hatchet stand on Saturday. So he will no doubt be there trying to play as many games as he can.
Sid's going to be there with me. So from about 9 a.m. on Saturday, we're going to be playing through as many of their games as possible. So if you are interested, swing by on a Saturday morning, sit down and join in if you fancy it, or you can get our first thoughts as we go through. And if you can bring some snacks and refreshments, that would be appreciated.
I actually have about 6 appointments booked that day with various other publishers, so I will not be joining you. I'll just know that that's a base point. That's where
if you need to find us,
bivouac down.
That's where the bivouac will be. The PhD.
Yeah.
When we do some shopping.
Yeah, we can dump the bags in when we go shopping, can't we, Andy?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Once I've come back from all of the miniature suppliers, I shall dump down bags of miniatures next to them.
Speaking of which, we did a couple of questions. Which Torrin Spencer's asked, where are we choosing our painting competition miniature from this year? And
that is a bloody good question, and I think, as usual, we'll probably have to decide on the
Well,
day.
I've said on the day, there is a rumour that somebody, a publisher, may be giving us some prototype miniatures to paint.
Really?
I'm not going to say who, because if I say who, it'll all fall apart and we won't get them.
It's like a sort of Schrodinger's miniature, is it?
Yeah, it is, yes, but we may have something already planned for that, but we'll have to wait and see how lucky we are. Also, while we're on questions, James McCann asked which con has the best food, and he reckons Aircon has the best food.
Yeah, he's right.
And I would like to point out that most of the food vans that go to Aircon also go to Expo. So the thing about the food in Expo is inside the NEC, shite. Outside the NEC, good. The problem is Resorts World as well, across the pond, quite literally across the pond from the Expo. Lots of choice, bit expensive.
Yeah, good steak though.
It's the Japanese place.
Oh, the Japanese place is good. Yeah.
Ooh, this Japanese place.
Yeah, Japanese fried chicken.
I will have to bring my insigniaed chopsticks with me then.
Think you might need to bring elasticated trousers as well.
Hey, most of my trousers these days are elasticated because I am a fat bitch.
That's all we've got for questions. We're also going to try and play some games in the evening. Me and Rory are going to try and complete a bit more of our BGG Top 100. And since we got the opportunity for lots of people to be there, we're going to try and play some of the higher play count games. So like Seven Wonders and Decrypto. We haven't set a time or a date, but it'll probably be after the main show closes on Friday and Saturday. We will probably drop something on Facebook and Instagram to say where we are if anyone fancies joining us for a game.
Or at least if you bump into us during the day, because we'll be in our Polyhedron t-shirts, just ask and we'll probably decide at the time.
No, we won't know. We won't know.
No, we'll just be around. If we find some, either drag us to a table or we can arrange to meet later on. So yeah, we're more than happy to do that.
So basically, see someone in a Polyhedron Collider t-shirt that's ginger and ask them for what they're doing.
Run for your lives.
Ask them what the plan is, and you've got a 50-50 chance that you're going to get an answer.
You'll get an answer from me and Sid. It's just either A, non-binding, or B, made up.
I'm just going to defer to a parent.
Sid will be within arm's reach of an adult at all times.
Right then. We need to wind this up because this has already gone much longer than we normally go. So thank you very much for listening. We have been Polyhedron Collider. We will see you at UK Games Expo. By the way, this is usually our biggest show of the year. So if you'd like to share us with your friends or comment us on the Facebook or Instagram post, it really does help the post scene, helps feed the algorithm. So we are on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Bulging Geek Guild 2726. And until UK Games Expo, happy gaming.
Ta-ra.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye. I had a feeling.
I was thinking about saying Tatty Bye or something like
You
that.
could tell there was mischief in all your eyes. there.
Who's going to be the first one to deviate?
I thought better of it on the Expo episode.